I welcome Arun Prakash sir for this podcast. This is a kind of a podcast where I was always waiting for. Trust me, there are multiple professionals, multiple people who just come and say making a record on something is something more unique and more treasure on your part. But trust me that those treasures are nothing unless you have built yourself as that right professional. Right now, I'm sitting with Arun Prakash sir, demystifying how to be the right professional in the world, which is competing for nothing else. And also, I'm here to demystify something beyond professionalism, not business, not anything, but about the education, core education, how we need to educate ourselves. So it's my honor to have him on my podcast, and I'm very, very grateful that he accepted my podcast request and he has come to give me a podcast. And it's an honor for me to do that. And thank you so much, sir, for giving me a podcast.
Thanks, man. Actually, I should thank you a lot because before this podcast, like I was having a chat with you where I learned a lot of things. Like right now, I am inspired to do a lot of podcasting. Okay, probably I'll invite you as one of the chief guests in that podcast if I do it. Like how to do a podcast, kind of it at this age, and you have done it with a lot of fantastic people. Okay, I am actually honored to be part of this. Okay, thanks, man.
Sure. Let's just go on and demystify something that we really care today. As a student, I really complain that my country is so horrible in terms of opportunities. My country is not giving me that right opportunity, like this, that about the education system. So let's just face that thing because we might be facing it, we might not be facing it. That's not a big issue. But I want to ask you this one question, particularly like, what's the value of education to any person, according to you?
Okay. So I'll give two perspective of it. Like one is my perspective, another one is what I learned from my wife, or Sridevi. She is also a technologist. So my perspective is like education gives you a lot of opportunities to see into new things. Okay. I mean, this looks like a cliche statement, but for example, like let's say if you remove education or whatever I learned, I got from education, I'll be like a very normal street guy without anything like so it is absolutely zero if you take education from me. Okay, that is how I see it. But at the same time, I had a view like earlier, like a cynical view of things, like so the education system here is nothing but just robbing our money. Okay, literally I had that view. Okay, till probably 6 months ago, where I had similar debate with my wife. Like we don't talk politics, we don't talk religion, we talk only anything related to education or anything related to fun technical stuff. That's how we used to do it. Like so at the time, one of the question was like, as the same question I asked is like hey, did our education system actually ruin the people? Because if you see it from it like from my view, it's a cynical view, I know it. Like see a guy who's in his 12th grade or like below 12th grade, he is, I mean, when he starts, he is so curious. As he grows, his curiosity is getting killed by the system. It is systematically killed. That is the problem there. Okay, it is systematically killed. And when you cross the 12th, if you go to engineering, it that's it. It dies there, at least in our context. Okay, this was my cynical view of things. So this is applicable for around 70 to 75% of the people who's educating. Okay, I'm not including the 25 people who are self-motivated, who doesn't need anything else, who doesn't need any motivation at all. So we discount that people, like we discount that 20 to 25% of people. So what I'm looking at the common public, okay, who's pushed into education because of their parents or because of the financial situation, all those things. This is how I had it. So I had a very bad view of education till 8 months ago. Okay, but when I sat with her, she asked a lot of questions. Her question was like, Arun, you know me, right? Education is, I mean, she is also from a lower middle class family. I mean, every guy who sits here in the IT industry in India are mostly from lower middle class. Okay, if you are from upper middle class, by now you would have studied MS and then you would have got a job in US. Okay, anybody who sits in India belongs to this category, lower middle class or middle class, who wants to get into a job right on the day of placements. Okay, because that 25,000 or 30,000 which you get as the first thing can transform the family. Okay, So for me, I thought education as this kind of a tool for getting money or monetizing, bettering the family. But her view was slightly different. So her view was positive view of it. Like that is where like I started, right? So it is the tool where you have an option to look at the world at any point of time. Let's say, let's take two people, person A, person B. Okay, person A doesn't have any education at all. Okay, he studies let's say like high school or even not even high school, like a middle fifth standard or something like that, or he drops out. This is one category. Another person who has done a degree, let it be any degree, BSc, BCom, any degree. Okay, they get a job, they start earning it because of the family situation. Both of them earn equally, like 10,000 to 15,000. Even if you learn, if you do BSc Max or BSc Physics, e-commerce, it comes to 6,000 to 15,000 as a salary. Even without the learning, you go and work in a lathe, you will get the 5,000 to 6,000 salary. So in terms of economy, it is same. Okay, till you are up to 25, 30, even 35, it is same kind of. Your salary increases from here in the education sector. If you are educated guy, it might go up to 40. Let's assume if this guy is a little bit doing on his extra things, he will also get incentives and he goes to 40. So there is no difference in terms of economy. Okay, but let's assume after 35 or 36, he wants to understand and make him better to the next level. Okay, right now they are in the level like from the lower middle class, they move to the middle class. But if you want to escape, there is something called escape velocity in physics, right? So if you want to get that escape velocity, so you need to read something, you need to respect something. For that, if you are uneducated or not exposed to education, you will be scared to open up any books. So you will be dependent on the people's experience, which is good thing. Okay, but you have to meet a lot of people to get the experience. Let's assume you are an educated person. So what you will do, you will go and start reading the books, and then that will open up some pointers to you. From there, you, if you talk to the same kind of people, your growth would be exponential. For example, I'll give it like, for example, so I'll show book. So this is a book, HBR book, Harvard Business Review book, which I bought it and I started learning it. Not only this book, I have some other books which is HBR. So let's assume if I am not an educated person, I lose the opportunity to read this wisdom. Okay, just to read the book. Okay, this wisdom is completely denied for me. Okay, that is what the education gives. Okay, though it adds a lot of bad things during your career, but after a certain point of time, when you want the escape velocity, this is what it will give you. So that is the power of education for a middle class. Okay, I'm not talking about upper middle class and other people, they have other options. As a normal lower middle class family guy, I'm saying this view. This is how we argued, and from that day onwards, I started again respecting much more on the education system. Though the system is bad in its own way, I'm not bringing that. Like, you take any system in the world, it will be bad. You will find mistakes. Okay, no matter what system it is, because a system. Let's assume like a, so a simple exam would be like a, go and study any history. Okay, you will find a lot of kingdoms. Every kingdom has its own flaws. The same, because the system is there for a long time. Any system which is there for a long time will tend to corrupt. Okay, corrosion is happening, chemistry. Okay, so that corrosion happens in any system. Then once in a while you need to reinvent it, and this is the time where we can reinvent our education, this COVID time. So this is like a blessing in disguise, I would say. So that is my view on education.
Fossil mindset, people who are like 25, 30-year experienced in the industry, their experience is something like, in business, if you are in the government sector or something, the corruption happens behind the table, like under the system itself. But in education system, it happens on the system itself. Everybody knows that there is corruption happening. Everybody knows that there is something getting ruined. But yet we are not aware of the fact that, okay, we just need a life, we are just entering in there. Kind of a nonsense like that. Somehow, there is a misconception behind the education system itself. Like, it's a kind of a money-making priority to some people. But I would just say making money is not a big thing, but not delivering the value is the biggest curse that we have in our country. Like, let it be like crores to be worth of an education. Tomorrow he might earn even lot than that. But has that education system really bought in that value? I think that's the key point that we are supposed to keep in the mind. yes,
Sure.
you talked a lot
Yeah,
about.
to give a one liner, okay, the education system current system is like multi-level marketing. Okay, so you corrupt the people who is down there in a small way, like you add two people, you corrupt them, you add two people, corrupt them, then the corruption goes for you. Like I didn't corrupt many people, you will think like that, but actually it happens that way.
That's true. That's true. Sir, like I just want to ask you, like you talked a very brief way about saying what's the lower middle class level perspective on education, and you also told about the upper middle class and all these kind of things, and how you had a discussion with your wife about all these things. That's fine. I just wanted to ask, like, what is the same Arun sir that we are seeing during when he was in 15 years? Like, what was your mindset? Did you ever really imagine that you will be an entrepreneur and you will just be like influencing a lot of people around? Like, I just got influenced not because of the world record, but the value you're trying to derive through your business model. Of course, it's getting money. That's part and parcel of what we are as an entrepreneur. But adding that value, right? It's a huge way of like understanding the system, understanding what's money also. So I just wanted to really ask this question to all my guests who are then entrepreneurs and things like that. But who was the same Arun Prakash sir when he was 15 years old?
Okay. So no, the answer is no, not an entrepreneur. Okay. But I love two things. Like one is I love learning, I love teaching. So that has been there forever from 15 years till date as well. So that is one thing which is connected. For example, let's say in your case, so podcasting, you might not have started this as a business or thing. Like it is for your personal satisfaction. You are doing it, right? And right now it may not be a business by itself. There are chances like this will lead you to somewhere. Okay, the same way my learning, my thirst for learning, my thirst, my quench for teaching others actually helped me to reach here. Like so one of the things which I remember is like the best learner in a class is always the teacher. Okay, so he is the best learner, not the students. The students give knowledge to the teacher. They say that is the thing which I learned. Like I always teach to others. When I teach to others, I learn it. Actually, this is a very simple thing which everybody accepts it. So I used to teach in college, then I got into a job which is like a typical very good product company. Honeywell was my first job, no question. And then my ladder graduated in a, for example, PayPal I went in, Symantec I went in, another startup I went in. Everything was perfect, there is no issue in that. Like, and I could have stayed in the same state itself. Okay, meanwhile during the situations, like whenever I get a time, I used to teach. That's how I was. But all it happened was when I met my juniors. Okay, when I met some of my juniors, that is where I was little frustrated to see their level of exposure towards the industry. Okay, and to solve their problem, what I did was I collected a lot of good videos from YouTube. I mean, I was a continuous learner. So this is in 2010 or 9 somewhere that time. So where it was, there is no Geo. Before Geo, now after Geo the data has become cheap. Okay, everybody will watch video. And the other thing is YouTube was not that popular. YouTube was in the early stages. Okay, YouTube was kind of elite stuff. Okay, because of data. That is a simple thing. So during that time, I used to watch a lot of videos from MIT Open Courseware, Harvard videos, a lot of good videos I used to watch it. Okay, but when I met the juniors, I gave the same videos to them. Okay, one of the answers which I got it from them is like they are from a tier 2 city, which is Madurai. Bro, I mean, as they said in Tamil, Anna, idu en thalaikku mela podu, it is over my head, or I'll sleep by watching it. Okay, these are the two situations which is happening. Okay, so I understood their problem because I was from them. Okay, I am one among them. I know how to teach to them. Okay, so I took technology as a medium to do the teaching, which my passion. So it is more of a self satisfaction, I would say. Okay, it is a pure selfish act. Okay, so I missed the taste of teaching. So then I started using YouTube as a medium to teach. Okay, this is now everybody teaches in YouTube. I'm not counting that. This is like 2009 or 8 9, I guess. Okay, where I taught that in Tanglish way. Okay, and at the time everyone around me scolded saying that, hey, you are spoiling the people, you are not teaching in English. Okay, they assumed that speaking in English is equivalent to technical stuff. I said, for a developer, he doesn't need to talk. he just need to show the output. Okay, even if it is a dumb or a deaf, it doesn't matter if he shows the output. Okay, so with that in mind, being a developer, I said like ignore all the other complexities, let's teach it in English way so that my juniors will learn. So I started teaching small things for 60 people. Okay, my simple, I'm a little analytical always, a logical person. So I assume that out of 60 people, 6 people will watch. If they watch twice, I'll get 12 views. That is the max I was having it. But to my surprise, within 3 months, I got around 1 million views. I was literally shocked how this could happen. Then I went in to check out the demographics or where the users come in. Most of the users are from US, UK, and Singapore, not from Tamil Nadu, not from Madurai. My assumption was right because my juniors didn't watch. Okay, they watched only very little, but the majority of the views come from these places. So, and then I got a lot of emails from the people, and then I started interacting with them. So one thing which I found is all of them did engineering in Tamil Nadu. Okay, then I expanded my hypothesis saying that it is not my college problem, it is Tamil Nadu college problem. Okay, I expanded this view. Okay, so 550 engineering colleges in Tamil Nadu, let's discount the top 100. Okay, 400 engineering colleges are in the same state. Okay, I concluded. Okay, so we can help this 400. That is what my assumption. And then I started this. So this is one assumption. And at the time I was working in PayPal, I was doing this for free, like how you're doing it for free. Okay, with the simple intention of doing it. So since I was in PayPal, my lunch gang was from different states. One guy is from Delhi, another girl is from Bengal, Andhra, Karnataka, all those things. So during having the lunch, I was explaining this story to them. They said that all of them laughed. Okay, I was asking why you are laughing. I said like, Arun, it is not your state problem. It is the same state in all the states. Okay, exclude the top, you will find all the rest will be in the same category because it is a systematic learning or systematic problem which the colleges have created. So what they do is they graduate some of the students from that and then put it in ME, and the ME guys will come in as a junior professor because they didn't get a job, and then they'll become a next level of professors and they will teach to the students. So the degradation happens systematically. So this is what I learned from that lunch gang conversation. Then I started requesting, telling the story like 1 million, all those things. They were quite excited and they started doing the same podcast in other languages as well. Okay, we started doing in Kannada. One guy, Yatish, did in Kannada. Okay, another girl did in Telugu. Another guy did in Hindi, like that. So this was happening for 2-3 weeks. Okay, everybody was okay. This was kind of a lean period. December period, most of the work will not be there because of the US holiday seasons. We don't push any code. Okay, so during the time developers will not break it. That's a business time. So that time we had free time, so we were doing it. But in Jan again, our workload started, so everybody started telling a lot of reasons and avoiding me. Okay, so when I started, I wanted to do this an NGO. So I'm very much fascinated with the free stuff and the NGO style of doing things. But I couldn't find support from other people because they have their own priorities. Because their release is important than doing some video podcast to someone else. Okay, so then that is where I thought, okay, we need to add benefit to the people who is coming in. So from my salary, I can't give pay to all of them because whatever I pay will be a very smaller amount to them. Okay, because they equally earn like whatever I earn. Okay, I have to give my entire salary to them, then only it will be satisfying for them, or at least in that level. Okay, so that is where I decided, okay, we should start this as a proper business. Okay, if it sustains, let it sustain, and then let it do help others. Okay, if it doesn't sustain, let's close it. Okay, with this simple view, I started the startup, and then we had a lot of struggles in the first few years, and because of that our process, I was able to continue this as a business. Still now, my vision is pure, but it has to be supported by the capitalistic. Like, think like you can combine communism with the capitalism. Okay, so that is a new model which you have to evolve. So communism is like giving things to all. Capitalism is like have money, support it, do the things whatever is ready. can we combine this model and then do a good for it? That's how that is my thought process, and right now I'm executing this. I don't know how far it will go on all those things.
No, it's actually going to influence a lot of people. Trust me, because we talk about DevOps, we talk about a lot of jargons these days, but I've seen engineers who are popping up from like scratch. Like they have done their graduation, they are so hungry for something new. So what they do is they go to the courses, they just go and meet people who are good in that, and they start learning something, and then they pop out as the best engineers. I think Guvi can be a source of dream for a lot of people in the future. I think this is going to be something which is more phenomenal to other people who are just going to be understanding what your principles are and just joining your team, or as a learner, as a person who is just teaching there, or as like any person who might be. I think they're going to learn a lot from you. So like I just want to ask you, like you're seeing a lot of market, like I know you got a job, you're an entrepreneur now, and you know the pulse of the market right now. I just want to ask you this one question, like, is there any suitable skill that an engineer needs today? Like they should be focusing on one skill. Also, what is this funda behind the skilling up of the engineers? Like you have a startup, which is, it's not a startup, it's actually a very good institution for new engineers like me and the other people also. I just want to ask you, like, what is this funda of being skilled engineer? Like what according to
Okay.
you is a skilled engineer? That's my question.
Okay. Okay. So I'll answer it in two parts. One part is from a job perspective. Okay. Another part is from an entrepreneurial perspective. Okay. So I'm an engineer. So my first version of this is a job version. So I worked in different companies. Okay. So for example, my first job was with Honeywell. Okay. So I joined Honeywell, and then within first they liked my technical abilities. When I say technical abilities, uh, they liked my attitude. Okay, actually for a long time I didn't know the what do they mean by attitude. Okay, I mean I can translate as an English word. Okay, positive attitude, negative attitude, all those things I can understand, but I couldn't understand what they are inferring me in terms of attitude. So that it took around 6 to 7 years to understand that inference. Okay, for example, as a developer, your attitude should be, you should be hunger to get output. Simple. Nothing else is attitude. So if you are able to die for output, that is what attitude is like. So I used to sit 12 to 14 hours at a stretch to get the output. Okay, I never worried about anything else, not food, nothing. Okay, I don't even bath, that kind of thing. So to that level as a developer it was free. So that is what I understood as a in the first phase as attitude. Okay, so then I started respecting that, I started loving that, like kind of it is an addiction. Okay, when you start getting the output as a developer, it gives a dopamine effect, like how you smoke or how you go other things. Dopamine is for a developer, output is a dopamine, and that is what people mean by attitude. So you should die for getting solution. Okay, forget about, so you will not understand the business problem. Okay, as a first engineer, like if you know it, it is always good for you. Like somebody will tell you this is what the output I want, and your job is to make it happen. Okay, it is not to showcase that you are algorithmically best or you are the smartest person in the system. No, that is not attitude. The attitude is like somebody is asking for some solution, and as a developer you have to give it. So this is how I was. And first I was attached very much towards one programming language called VC++. Okay, and I used to call myself as a VC++ developer very proudly, because that was one of the hardest thing. Right now a lot of hard languages are there, but at the time in 2003 2004, VC, now it died. Okay, so that was the hardest programming language, and I know the internals. Okay, not the external language, I know the internals of it. Okay, to that level I was strong. Then I switched over to another startup. This is after 4 5 years of my thing. So when I went to a startup, so they asked me to write a problem, gave a problem and asked me to write a solution. My question was like, which language you want to write? You want me to write in C++ or something else? They said like, I don't care which language you write it, as long as you get me a solution. I was a little confused, and I was able to solve it and then gave it, and then I got the job. After getting the job, I went and spoke to my leader saying that, hey, the guy who hired me, why didn't you, generally people test me in my VC++ skills, syntax, or the language internals, all those things, but you didn't test me. So his point was like, hey, Arun, Google is there, okay, for syntax. Oh, so if you are smart enough to search Google, okay, that is more than enough to move on. But nobody can teach you the logical thinking. Okay, so if you are able to think logically and solve a problem, that is the best thing which you need to do it. So this is the second level of maturity which I got it. From that day onwards, I stopped attaching myself to one programming language, and I started myself calling as like a language agnostic fellow, okay, or language atheist. Okay, so that is the second level of graduation which I got it. Like, but nowadays kids are like way smarter than what I am, so they start with the language agnostic. So that is good thing. Or you call them as a polyglot programmers. So you are not attached to a framework, you are not attached to a language, you are a polyglot, true polyglot guy. Okay, or in olden days, like if you go to Da Vinci, my favorite guy, he is a polymath. So you should be a polymath in programming or in technology. Okay, that is how it is. So this is what, as a developer, you should cultivate your thing, your attitude towards learning anything and doing. Okay, and the next step is like okay, this is my developer version of it. And with this I mean, I was so arrogant that I know anything, I can do anything. And then I came into business thing. Business shattered me everything. So it killed me all my developer arrogance. Okay, so I mean, I was able to solve a problem but not solve human. Learning human is very important when you are getting into the business. Okay, so why you should learn human is like first thing is like you are ultimately you are going to sell something. So either with via digital marketing or a sales team or build something. So even for building something, you need to understand the customer perspective. That is where UI UX comes into play. Okay, so you need to understand the sales, you need to understand the marketing, you need to understand the UI UX. So all these things are nothing but understanding humans. You have to identify the customer persona. For this also, you have to understand. You have to understand the market and target the market. So like that. So one of the skills which I started learning from developer world to the business world is like probably as a developer, you should start learning sales. If you are able to get the sales skills, that is good. So you have all the things in your head. Like I say, I was a CTO of the company for a long time till date. Now there is we brought another CEO and I CTO, and then I am taking another role. So I am learning the business skills only in the past 8 months. Before that, when I am a CTO, I was not worried much about it. Again, it was a developer life. There is here and there I need to understand the business. Okay, I was able to manage and navigate, but I was a true entrepreneur for the last 8 months or last 6 months. Okay, so one of the revelations I had is like you should understand people. Being a geek is opposite. Like you don't want to understand people. Okay, so if you are able to combine these two things, you will be the best. So which path you want to take, where you want to stop is always yours. Okay, if you want to stop at the developer role, be a polyglot guy. If you want to be an entrepreneur, be a polyglot guy, learn people. These two are needed.
Yeah, I think probably your wife has influenced you a lot in life. That's for
True,
sure.
very true.
That's very true. But I do want to ask, like, what's the influence of your wife in your life? Because wife and life is like a kind of a word which syncs up somehow. But like, I just want to ask that, and also some of the most influential people that you have met. People sometimes forget to meet people. Like, it can be good, bad, or anything, but like, we need to understand that. Because I'll say you why. When you were saying about the polymath, polyglot, right? I was like, I used to learn somebody called as Ashwath Damodran, who is from NYU Stern University, who just puts YouTube videos. And I think I still, there was a room next to my room. Like that was my place where I used to go and study. I had a scolding wall and I had a picture of him sitting like this. Like that scolding wall is something like, I have the picture of all the influential people, Michael Asdell, Patrick Bet-David, and all these influential guys, some reaction. And every time when I used to see that, like I had Patrick Bet-David who had a picture like this. And every time when I used to see that, man, you're still tired. And like I had an Ashwath Damodaran sitting with something in a pose. And I was like, you're still worried about the education system. Like that was the amount of influence those people had on me. Like I met them in somewhere else. Like I now neither met them in person, but the amount of influence they had on me was something which is more humongous. So I want to ask you this one question: influence of your wife in your life, and also some influential people that you met over the course of time in your career. As a
Okay.
human being,
Uh,
also is fine.
yeah. So I'll always start with the cliche thing because that is very important. For example, one of the influential people is my dad. Okay. So still now I'm trying to be my dad. I couldn't because of two reasons. One is like I don't know how he managed finances. His salary when he retired at 2013, no, yeah, 13 or 10, I don't know. His salary was 3,000. Okay. I couldn't even live with 3,000 for a week. Okay, he made me to study engineering. He made me to, not only me, others, my brothers as well, and he managed the family, and we were able to have a decent life. Okay, so that is first thing which I couldn't still demystify from him. Second one is his level of patience. So man, that is extraordinary. I am a guy who is like a very much my adrenaline rush is very high. Okay, so for example, like if you give me a car or bike to choose, I'll always choose bike because it is speed, it gives a flexibility. Okay, and I've taken that and fallen multiple times as well. Okay, so that is the thing. And to continue from there, like uh, first is my dad. Okay, next is my mom because I mean these looks very cliche, but it is very important because the reason is my mom is a history teacher. Okay, generally people hate history because of the dates. Okay, because of who did what, these kind of details, and the detailing is very hard in history. But my mom told me very simple thing: never learn history as a history, learn history as a story. Okay, every kid loves stories. Okay, when you learn history like a story, history becomes so beautiful. When you learn history, you know history always repeats. Okay, the people might differ, the situations might differ. When I say situation, this place which happens might differ, but the style or the scenarios which happen repeats. It has repeated multiple times in multiple things, and that helped me a lot. For example, like if you ask me like who is the most influential person in my life, is like Chengiz Khan. Okay, so people may not understand who is Genghis Khan, or like he might people might think he is a barbarian. Okay, in one time, like when I had my kid and we named him like Gautam Kartik. Okay, my brother asked me like, I thought you will name him Genghis Khan. Good that you didn't do it. So to that level I'm influenced by him. Okay, so but because I love his way of approach of solving a problem. Okay, it might be little barbaric, bit little hard, but for that scenario, for that era, he was very innovative. And followed by like before that, if you go a little bit trace back, I love Alexander. Okay, it might look strange. Everybody says Alexander is great, but nobody knows why Alexander is great. If you say that like Alexander conquered nothing but like from Greece to Persia, he died in India. Everybody knows our story, the Porus story. Okay, this is not that great of land. This is a very small land. If you look at Roman Empire is much better than, larger than in a way, uh, Alexander. And British Empire is much more larger than whatever it is. Okay, the sun never sets in British Empire. That's what people said. But nobody compares these two with Alexander. But Alexander is great. I used to think why it was. So forget about. He's not a king. I mean, he's a king, obviously. More than a king, he's a real military genius. So you might have seen people who is won things. He's the guy who has have 100% success rate. I am not sure like who else will have in the world 100% success rate. Even God doesn't have 100% success rate because he has created me. Okay, so that's where he is flaw.
Yeah.
So Alexander is one of my influential guys because his success rate is impeccable. Nobody has done it in my view. That is why people respect it. He is kind of a military genius. If you go and understand his tactics, he is super smart. Okay, that is second. And the third person I love is Da Vinci. Okay, all these are the people whom I have met. I haven't met. Okay, but these guys are influenced. Like Da Vinci is another guy who I met. Like, so he is like till death he was curious like a child. Okay, I haven't seen anybody who's like that. So at some point of time, they tapper in their interest. Okay, this fellow is like a polymath, and he is like a crazy fellow who never settles for anything. Okay, that is the second guy. Third guy, and who else is like followed by is Tesla. Obviously, Tesla is another guy whom I love. Okay, so these are some of the people I love in the historical world, or the world which I live in, at least. Okay, in a way. And in the tech world, there are a lot of good people. For example, Bill Gates is another person whom I love. Okay, for the simple reason, you might find a lot of marketing genius who is a CEO. You might find a lot of tech people who has started a company. This fellow is a tech guy who understood the market, and he balanced both the things, and he made things out of nowhere. For example, the reason why I'm saying is like right now, everyone in India is in the software industry. Okay, ideally we should keep him as a god photo in our frame, because he is the guy who is one of the guy who is influencer in creating the software industry, because he wrote the first letter saying to that club, saying that, hey, software is also valuable, you have to pay, don't steal. Okay, that is the starting point. Before that, software is always given as a free. Like for example, if you buy a TV, remote is always free. So if you buy a hardware, software is always free. That was the thing. So he is the guy who changed that perception. He started asking questions, he started respecting software, and then he started putting that into a different place, and we are now in that. People build on top of it, that is a different case. But he is one of the influencer guy which I like it. So these are the people whom I love in terms of things. Coming back to my wife, she's, I mean, again, it is a cliche statement. She is my mom. Okay, not my wife. Because, so being a tech guy, interfacing with people is always hard. So I always used to hide behind her. Okay, not physically. In a way, I hide behind her, and she'll be the interface who will be talking to the people. And she's a tech person. So we both have the same wavelength. So whatever I think, she'll be able to understand, and she translates that into a human voice, and then he narrates it. So that was one of the beautiful thing which I learned from her. She always used to give me a perspective of anything. Okay, starting from simple things to hard stuff. For very simple thing is like if you drive bike, if you're a familiar guy, and if you are going there, like if you find a car which is driving not proper in a road, if you go and see the driver, it will be a woman, most probably. Okay, and I used to bet this to my wife and say that, hey, see, I'll bet that car is not going good, it will be a woman. So I did this twice, and the third time what she did was like, Arun, can I ask one question? I said, yes, fine. So how long you are driving your bike? So I was driving by bike from my 8th standard. Okay, till 38. Okay, and I only taught her driving bike. So she said that, when did you teach me bike? So it was in her third year of working experience. Okay, not in college, not in working, third year of working, where we were in Chennai, I was teaching her. So what is the difference between your driving ability and my driving ability? I said, obviously mine is better. So think a person who is coming to the road in a brave mind, okay, and trying to compete with you, okay, without given any opportunity throughout her life. Okay, now she is trying to compete with you. You are trying to nail her down by saying that you are comparing with you. It is like comparing your technical skills with a first year graduate or a 12th standard guy, which is unfair. You should actually encourage the 12th standard guy to do better. Okay, but you are doing otherwise. So this is a very profound thing for me. So from that day onwards, I started looking things from the other side of the thing as well. So it is easy to blame or mock anyone or tease anyone, but not being in the other side is hard. Okay, so like that, she started teaching me a lot. Okay, right now I miss her a lot in terms of physical presence, but her thoughts is helping me a lot in shaping myself, bringing things to a better shape.
you know this is how influential people are. It might be your mom, dad, your wife, or even your kid, who is like,
Yeah.
he can be a creative person, he can paint Mona Lisa of the future, like who knows that. But the way in which we educate them, I think the way in which we surround them, the people, I think that's going to matter a lot. Sir, I want to ask you this one question. What's the hardest part of being an entrepreneur in the tech world, which is involving education on the other side, technology on the other side?
Okay. So the hardest part is very simple. Uh, you are used to computers, so you will always be logical person. You assume people to be logical, okay? But when you look at them, it'll look very illogical. You may not understand why they are doing certain things. Okay. For example, when we started our first started our company, we used to go to colleges, so we didn't have money. So the simplest way is to go and spend in the college, 200 people something, and they assumption you will do it, right? And when we go there, people, I mean, students, when I say here, students appreciate it. They say that, yes, this is what we want, all those things. They'll clap. They'll say that, sir, you are awesome, all those things. When we come back to our office, nobody will buy. I couldn't understand why. See, you appreciated it. You need it. Okay. You loved us, but you are not ready to buy. And why the hell I left my job and came over here to do this? So that was the thing. And this is one segment, right? The other segment is like the placement officers. When I go to the placement officers, they know that their students are bad. They know they have to improve, but they'll not accept just like that. This I couldn't understand for a long time. Then after over a period of time, I understood they expect commission in certain cases. Not all people. There are some good people as well. Okay. So this was like, hey, for doing a job, why should I give money to you? This actually I'm helping you to get more people placed. Okay, you are supposed to give me money. You are expecting money from me. What is the logic in that? So that's how I was. Then so this is the illogical part of it, but actually it is not illogical. People always put the self-interest and the needs before yours. Your need is to do this, but their need is different. Okay, so in our case, let's say first learning I had is like a buyer versus user. Okay, the users are students, they are happy, they liked it in YouTube, all those things, but the buyer is the placement officer. His need is not learning, his need is not knowledge. Can you bring in 50 companies to my college through your company, so that I can put the number of companies listed to a bigger thing which I can show to my management? So their need is different, and user need is different. Okay, so that is where, like, so for my first learning was buyer versus user. Okay, this till date was awesome learning in my life. I'll never forget this. So this is my first learning, which is hard in terms of learning and other things. The second one is like then we move to B2C model. So even in B2C model, people will come and register. They'll try, they want a job. Okay, the result is very clear. They want a job. They are ready to pay, but they are ready to travel from this to that. Okay, I mean the learning from X to Y. Okay, so when I saw this, I was a little frustrated, and I was talked to my wife. She said that, Arun, don't think education is a simple thing. For you, education is a lovely thing, so you love to do it. Okay, but if I ask you to go to gym, will you go? So I'm a lazy fellow. I said I'll not go. See, for others, your gym and their education is equal. Okay, so you don't try to compare your thought process with their thought process. So what motivates you to go to gym? Only thing is, like, somebody has to push me. Same thing you would apply here. Okay, so apply the same principles which you will apply it for going to gym, apply it to the education. That is where we started putting in, and we started looking at the people. We changed the pedagogy of the learning. Okay, because I can't give the same content to all the people. A guy from IIT, from a tier 2 college, will not be the same. Okay, his understanding, his interest is different. This guy's understanding and interest are different. So you have to put it in a different space explanation. For example, let's say, so this being a tech podcast, so everybody will say that what is a class, what is an object? So people will say that class is a template, object is an instance. Okay, this is a simple example. But Sridevi gave me a different example for the other audience. The thing is, like, what are examples? Class is like your idli pan, and objects are your idlis. That's all. So this is how you have to put it in a different analogy to the people. So now nobody will forget what is a class, what is an object. Okay, this is a template. It just gives a shape. This is the actual object. This has the memory. This has the values. This has everything, calories, all the things. So like that, I started understanding the people in terms of tech learning, and then I started explaining things. So from then onwards, we started moving things in a faster way, and I started enjoying more teaching.
Sir, I know you have educated the hardest way. Like, you know that you actually respected the fact that your father was so energetic to get you all educated, to give you a new life beyond what he was actually. Sometimes what happens, sometimes parents are like, I've done this much, right? Should my son do much more? Like, some people are there, like, they're like, oh my God, I've done so many things. Like, why should he do it? Like, even like 10 generations come, it will not just get over. Like, I've done so much, this thing, that thing. But I feel that you are the most educated soul. It's not like money. I don't care money, because if I care money, then I'm not ready to burn myself with the money, right? That's my attitude over the money. Like, I still have a mentor whose name is Vivek Sridhar. I think you should be knowing him. He's from Microsoft. Confab, I'm a part of AZ Dev India community, Azure Developer Community India. He's somebody who is really fascinating to me, because trust me, I've never seen person who is hungry for educating people. Like, before your session, we had a session with him, and he was like, I don't care whether you are the biggest or the best engineer, but get out as the best one from my side. Like, I'm ready to build you and things like that. And I was like, oh my God, thanks for giving dreams today. And I'm like, I just wanted to ask you this one question: how to educate ourselves regarding everything, living everything. Like, we complain a lot about this, that, and things like that. I just want to ask you, like, how to educate ourselves.
The simple way is like always be a child. Okay, the kids are always curious and they are shameless. Okay, these are simple two attributes we should pick it from it. If you are curious, people will respect you, and if you are shameless, people understand you. Okay, and they'll be ready to give it to you. That's all. Okay, whatever you do it, keep these two alone in your head. You will be happy to learn. And the second thing is like it's called like a pay forward, people say it. Like, so whatever you want to learn, try to give it before itself, not the same item. So if you start giving things to others, you'll find a lot of people coming back to you and giving you gyan in different ways. Okay, so if you do the three items, that's good enough for you to learn anything.
Sir, I just want to ask you this not last, I don't know, like, if something gets popped up and like we want to discuss something. But like, you did a world record, and it was something which was fascinating to other people. Like, I can get to know that history has influenced you a lot, because you understood the way in which the pulse of these leaders were working in those era. Like, you said about Genghis Khan, you said about Alexander, and everything is fine. But like, staying sustainable in any business requires an understanding of what's the future is all about. I just want to ask you, like, what's the future of education system in the world? I don't want to target any country or anything, but I want to ask you, like, what's the future of education system in the world, and how to build a sustainable organization which actually empowers more people? That's my question.
Okay. Sure. So there are two segments in this. Like, as I said earlier, education is always hard. Okay. So first thing is you have to put it in a systematic fashion. Okay. But at the same time, anything systematic will always kill curiosity. Okay. It is like an oxymoron. So being systematic will not be creative. Okay. But these two has to go as part of the education. For example, what I do is the current corona has created that to us eventually. For example, my son, he learns the class from morning 9 to 1, and the post lunch he has a lot of other things to do it. The same subject which generally we used to learn for 8 hours, he was able to crunch it in 4 hours and give to him in a meaningful way. That structure is always needed. If you don't have the structure, you will not be able to learn the education thing. But beyond that, he goes and sits in the other places where he can learn. Okay, meet a lot of new people, either in YouTube or in other channels or wherever it is. He learns from them. Okay, that combination is always, that is how the future of the world would be. Okay, So there will be always a kind of Uber style of learning where on demand you learn something. There is always a structured part of learning. Okay. So the structured part of learning is important, and Uber style of the learning is on the structured part will help you to understand the basics. Okay. And give you the focus. The Uber part is what will give you the next level of things. For example, I've learned React. Okay. Now I have to go back and build something in React. For that, you need a Uber thing. Like, so go and find a mentor or go and pick a project, solve it. When you're stuck, you ask someone, you get it. That is a simple Uber style of doing things. But to learn React, you have to go through certain things. If you skip certain things, you might do it, but there is always at back of your head, you say that, oh, I haven't learned it properly. That is a simple human psychology. So learn it structured and then do a Uber stuff. So if you, this is how the future would be. And uh, for the first part, the schools are there, the colleges are there. That has to be adapt. If those who don't adapt will die. Very simple. The second part is best. And previously we used to have that 80-20 rule, right? 20% will be always curious, 80% will be always pushed. Right now it will be like at least 50-50. Okay, 50% will be curious, 50% will be pushed. Okay, that those 50% will start influencing the Uber thing, and they'll be a kind of role model. We'll get a lot of role models. For example, you will be a role model for a lot of people. Okay, so when you started, you might be one of the 100. Now, being in pandemic, so you might influence a lot of people. Like, for example, I get inspired by you. Okay, so that is very important. So that this actually we infect others during this pandemic in a positive way. Okay, so that is a good thing. Okay, so these two combinations is how the future of the world would be. So one is outcome based, another one is structure based.
Sir, I want to ask you this one question because you're an educator and you've seen a lot of AI enthusiasts like me and other guys who are popping up. Like, what do you think is the market of AI tomorrow? Because they say that teachers are going to get replaced by AI bots. Teachers are always going to get augmented. I'm like, will they? I was in an international conference. I was also presenting a paper there, and one guy literally told, can the AI system fit in the shoes of your teacher or your mindset of being a student? And also, this was not the first time that I heard about AI replacing students. Like, even we have a conference in our college called a C Cube. I think this is happening this year in the 2021 not September, December, I think so. Yeah. I think even in there, like, I was in a first year. I don't think any first years can go and sit at an international conference like that. But I went and sat there, and I was the only first year guy there. So I just want to ask you, like, will education system be augmented by the invent and intent of the AI that we are building now?
Okay, I'll give an example which happened recently in our system. So from that you can infer whatever you want to infer. So we have built something called HackerKid. So hackerkid.org, okay, where it is a blog-based coding, okay, for kids. Okay, go and try. It is India's first of its kind, and it is recognized by the government of India. Okay, so it is like any kid who knows how to drag and drop a mouse, that is good enough to go and learn. So we have given it for free, lot of people. Okay, so after giving it, like, we started reaching out to the students. Like, we have a leaderboard, lot of good kids are in the top of the leaderboard. One guy who was in the third or fourth place, so we spoke to him to understand how the product is. Okay, he said that, sir, product is awesome, everything is good, but can I get a mentor? Okay, what for? I was asking. Like, we were trying to build a system where without anybody's help you should be able to learn programming. That is our goal. So that is my vision, and I wanted to do that. But I was little confused. Why? Okay, I since he asked, like, I said, like, one of the mentors, I told him to sit with him. Okay, so help him if he gets stuck. She sat with him for 1 hour. Okay, that fellow didn't ask any question. He was able to solve all the problem. Once he solved it, he goes and says, ma'am, I have solved this, can you check it? That's all. So for 1 hour, this mentor sat idly without doing anything. Once in a while, he was showcasing it. She was saying, yeah, very good, go ahead. Okay, so this is one of the strange examples where no matter how perfect system you build it, you need a human touch in education. Okay, people need you to be acknowledged. by a human. So we have gamified everything. We have given points. He knows the points. He gets the points. All those things. But he wants the mentor to sit other side and just simply don't need to do anything. Miss, I will solve it and show. That's all. Okay, that human touch is what is very important in learning. Okay, let's assume a lot of online courses are there, like self-paced courses. Okay, after completing it, you will have a skill, you will have a level, but still you will have a doubt in your mind: have I learned everything properly? You need someone to validate, saying that yes, you have learned. Okay, that validation is where the humans are needed. You can't replace any teacher or any system by that. Okay, even if you bring a AI system, people will not be happy. It will solve, but you will not be happy. Okay, that is a real example which is taught us by a kid. Though we have built the best system for everything, automated, gamified, AI driven, all the stuffs are there, but people are people. They need a human touch. Okay, in other way, think like for example, I'll go back to the wife, like gym. You can buy a what is it, I forgot, the people run that, right? Like
Treadmill.
Treadmill, yeah, exactly. So I am very bad in this. So they buy treadmill at home, but most of the time if you go to there, like it will be having cloths, old cloths on the treadmill. That is the most of the time the treadmill purpose of treadmill is. Okay, why people are not using treadmill even after buying it? Because we are a social creature. If the same treadmill is in the gym, if we have some people watching us, we'll be happy to run. Either it has to be pushed by the dad, or it has to be pushed by someone, or it has to be pushed by the crowd in a social way. Okay, so the same thing applies to education as well. These are like I mean, anything which involves mental activity or a physical pain, you need a recognition. Okay, like a simple star for a kid, how it helps to motivate. The same star is what we needed, and that has to be done by a person, not by a system. So that is the equation there.
Sir, thank you so much for even saying me the business aspect of life, the AI, which we actually didn't cover any of the jargons of AI, nonsense like the machine learning, computer vision, and things like that. But we brought some value to the talk we did. Like, I think probably this is going to be the best that I ever did, apart from being business oriented, education oriented, and things like that. I think I enjoyed a lot, and it's an honor to have you on my podcast. Sorry for saying that again and again. It's an honor for me, for sure.
Same here, man. I am honored to be talking to you. You inspired me. I'll anyhow after this podcast, I'll come back to you. Don't worry.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.